Abuse is almost like a never-ending circle. I found my own life that if there's somebody in your life abusing you, and I'm talking not just in terms of romantic relationship, I'm also talking in terms of friendship, parents, family. In this sort of conversation, I'm sort of covering all the bases. And of course, the methods used can be verbal, they can be physical, they can be subtle, like gaslighting, or just somebody just dumping their toxicities onto you. I found that I didn't understand that it's all connected. If you have an abusive relationship, you probably have a friend who is toxic and you can't turn to, and you have to wonder how have you got into this abusive relationship. And most of the time it can be down to our family life, the way we were raised. We wasn't taught the true value of love and what real love feels like, and perhaps because we're sort of forced to love our parents, we develop this compassion where we let toxicity slide when we shouldn't have done. And then when we're in our relationships, we fall into this circle, this cycle, where the person who has been abusive to us, we want their recognition, we want their love, we want their kudos, and it's very hard to get. And in our attempt to get this, we can be abused, we can be tormented, we can be bullied. But then there's that glimmer in the person's eyes where we feel like they have respect for us, or we feel like they like us, or they feel like they've accepted us. And then we go for another week, another 2 weeks of the same cycle of them being abusive and bullying and tormenting us. And at the end of the 2 weeks, they show some compassion towards us and we feel it was all worth it. So these are the sort of cycles we get ourselves into. We get frustrated, we get angry, and it's extremely common to feel these things when we're with somebody who is extremely problematic, and we don't listen to the red flags because we're still trying to impress this person. And it feels like in this generation, this day and age, that the rise of toxicities are amplified. And I think what's happened is, I think because of the way the world is turning and the value system we now have in place, which is very social, it's created this wave of depression and this wave of victimhood, and people aren't able to live with themselves. So a natural consequence of that is to become toxic. So I think we all have these slight toxic traits, and I think the good of us are trying to fix those traits, and we see them in other people, we see them in ourselves, and we try to fix them accordingly and progress through life. But a majority of people don't have the tool system to correct their flaws, and a lot of people what are toxic don't even know they're doing it. And you have to sort of identify yourself within that. So one of the things within the circle when we're chasing this person is these red flags come up, and we feel that what we're trying to get from this person, we feel like we're not getting it, and it feels a little abstract to us, it feels a little strange to us. And the truth is, within our friendships and our romantic relationships, we should be excited to see that person. A friend should complement your life. You shouldn't talk at each other. You should be excited to hear what this person has to say. You should be excited to spend time with this person. This person isn't just your emotional punching bag. You have to better each other through life. Come up with ideas how to better each other through life. Look out for each other. Talk about, put the world to rights. It'd be like I try and do in these videos. We talk, we communicate, and we get to the essence of life, and we can walk off feeling happier. And we drink, we eat together, and we learn about each other's background, each other's cultures. And again, the overarching theme, as I just mentioned, we should be happy to see each other. If you're in a friendship where the person isn't happy to see you and is using you for emotional punching bag, and they themselves cannot get up to better their lives, and it is bordering on abuse, the cycle is abuse, because they abuse you in whatever way, and then you try and fight for their love, or you're confused, and then eventually you get it, or you can't stop visiting that person. This person is problematic, but you want to keep visiting them because you want to work to try and earn something, because they're gatekeeping nothing. This is the thing that you have to understand. Everybody you come across in life, regardless of their background, will try and be an authority on the subject, because that is how we survive, that is how we go through life. Just as I'm trying to be an authority on the subject now, you have to be able to understand that everybody is kind of cut from the same cloth. Then we all spider off into different journeys. Yes, some of us are complex than others, some of us have unique personalities, etc. But you have to understand that a person is a person. So when you're dealing with somebody's toxicity and they're keeping this love from you, have you ever considered that the love they're keeping from you is nothing special? It means nothing. And what happens is, I have this problem as an outsider. I've always been the outsider, and that hasn't been through choice. If you're outside yourself, you'll know that this is just how you are, and it doesn't quite fit in to the bigger picture. What happens is, when you're outsider, you meet other people what are outsiders, and those people, and I was one of those people myself, you gravitate towards people what have an extraordinary opinion. So it could be a writer, it could be a filmmaker, it could just be somebody in your class, it could be one of your friends who have these extraordinary takes on life, and you don't realize that that person is actually quite narcissistic and is quite self-centered. So the people what you like and look up to, because you can see yourself in them, which is fine, are actually problematic and actually are very narcissistic, and they're not actually wanting to move. I've been through this sort of recycling of writers and poets and filmmakers in my life, where when I was younger, I absolutely adored what this person was saying, and as I got older, I started to realize this person is very self-centered. I never blamed the person. I just looked at their view as a unique outlet, as opposed to the holy grail of what they were saying was the correct ideals. Because going back to what I'm saying, we are all lonely people just drifting through life, and we all come across similar problems, similarities, and we all are hurting in different ways because life is tough. So one of the things, what is the hardest thing to do, is when you are in these addictive relationships, and if you've been with somebody for 10 years and it's turned abusive, or if your family members or whatever it is, these are life-changing decisions you have to make to leave. It's not as easy as just cutting a friend off where you've known them for about a year, you sort of hang out with each other and you can just block them. If it is a problematic family member, it's very hard to understand. These are your blood, and they're treating you this way, and you keep thinking, if I just go back, if I just do this, they might like me, they might accept me, they might be different. And it's never the case. You have to also become a little bit selfish within yourself. And I was having this conversation with somebody the other day, that if you let somebody be toxic enough to you, you will become toxic yourself, and you will pass it on. Maybe you don't intend to, and maybe you're not passing on the biggest of torments, you're not passing on the bullying, but there'll be things within you where, if you stay the victim long enough, the toxicities will seep onto you. And not only will you have a negative outlook on life, but you can also then go and affect other people. People will get out of relationships, they're obsessed with getting to the next relationship when they haven't worked on themselves, they haven't thought about themselves, because we are all emotionally addicted to the thrill, whether it be sex, whether it be these deep conversations. We want somebody to understand our pain. We're crying out for somebody to understand our pain, but people already do understand our pain. We need to understand our own pain. We need to deal with our own pain. We don't need to be. It's very addictive when you come across a fellow survivor, or you come across somebody who has had a problem with life. It's very addictive to share those things, but there's a time where we're sharing them too much and we're not progressing our natural self, and therefore we get ourselves into more cycles. Okay, I hope this video has been helpful. It's a little icy out here. It snowed last night. Most snow's melted. You won't get much snow in the woods because it doesn't quite make it through the trees, but it's around me in front. I hope you have a good week, a good year. Ciao.